When news broke that Marc Marquez would miss the upcoming Australian Grand Prix, the MotoGP world was left stunned. The 9-time world champion, fresh off one of the most intense stretches of the 2025 season, had once again been struck by misfortune. After a collision in Indonesia that left him nursing a painful shoulder injury, Marquez was forced to step aside. And Ducati, faced with the sudden absence of its star rider, had to make a crucial decision. The factory team has now confirmed that veteran test rider Michel Pirot will replace Marquez at Phillip Island, marking his first MotoGP appearance since the Barcelona finale last year. It was a move both surprising and expected. Pirot has long been Ducati's go-to backup, a trusted and experienced hand who knows the bike inside and out. When Ducati made the official announcement on social media, the tone was respectful and focused. Following the injury that has forced Marc Marquez to miss the next 2 rounds of the 2025 MotoGP season, Ducati Lenovo team confirms that Michel Pirot will replace him at the Australian GP, the statement read. The post quickly spread across the racing world, sparking both sympathy for Marquez and curiosity about how Pirot would perform under the spotlight once again. The injury that sidelined Marquez occurred during the opening lap of the Indonesian Grand Prix. It was one of those moments that define a season, a small misjudgment. A big consequence. Pole sitter Marco Bezzecchi, eager to make up for a poor start, dived aggressively into turn 7. The maneuver went wrong, and contact between his Aprilia and Marquez's Ducati sent both riders tumbling into the gravel. Bezzecchi was visibly frustrated, but the damage to Marquez was far more serious. He was seen clutching his shoulder immediately, grimacing as he walked away from his stricken bike. Later, medical checks confirmed a fracture at the base of the coracoid process and a ligament injury to his right shoulder. For Marquez, it was a bitter pill to swallow. After years of injury setbacks, he had seemed finally back to full strength, confident, fast, and focused. The idea of missing races again due to physical issues felt cruelly familiar. He was quickly flown back to Spain, where he underwent a thorough examination. Doctors recommended rest and immobilization rather than surgery, opting for what they called a conservative treatment plan. The goal is recovery without long-term complications, but the reality remains uncertain. His participation in the final 2 rounds of the season in Portugal and Valencia will depend entirely on how well his shoulder heals in the coming weeks. Ducati, meanwhile, had to act fast. Losing Marquez, especially after the team had built so much momentum, meant rethinking strategy for Phillip Island. The choice of Michel Pirot made perfect sense. The 38-year-old Italian has been Ducati's chief test rider for over a decade, contributing extensively to the development of every generation of the Desmosedici. Though he's not a full-time racer anymore, Pirot has competed in numerous MotoGP rounds as a substitute. Most recently in Barcelona last season, when he filled in for Fabio Di Giannantonio at VR46. His last appearance on a factory. Ducati came even earlier. At the 2023 Japanese GP, Pirot's role is often underappreciated outside the paddock. But inside Ducati, he's seen as a cornerstone of their success. His experience, technical feedback, and familiarity with the bike's evolution make him an ideal stand-in when circumstances demand it. Team manager Davide Tardosi once described Pirot as the invisible backbone of Ducati's progress. Now, at Phillip Island, that backbone will take center stage once again. The Phillip Island circuit, known for its high speeds and unpredictable weather, is one of the most challenging tracks on the MotoGP calendar. For Pirot, stepping in under these conditions is no small task. He will partner with Francesco Bagnaia, who is fresh off a strong showing and looking to end the season on a high. Bagnaia's experience at Phillip Island, a track that rewards rhythm and bravery, could prove invaluable to Ducati as they aim to maintain their dominance despite Marquez's absence. While Ducati prepares for Australia, Marquez's recovery remains the center of attention. The collision with Bezzecchi has stirred debates once again about the aggressiveness of modern MotoGP racing. Some argue that Bezzecchi's move was simply part of the sport's cutthroat nature, a bold attempt that went wrong. Others believe it was reckless, particularly given the stakes and Marquez's vulnerable position in the championship. Regardless of intent, the outcome was the same. Marquez out-injured, Ducati scrambling, and Bezzecchi apologetic yet frustrated. As news of the replacement spread, Fans flooded social media with messages of support for Marquez and well wishes for Piero. For many, Piero's return to the grid is a nostalgic reminder of the old-school racers, consistent, disciplined, and devoted to the technical craft. For others, it's a chance to see how Ducati's test rider fares against the best in the world on one of MotoGP's most demanding circuits. Interestingly, Ducati's decision to bring in Piero also highlights one of MotoGP's lesser-known regulations. Under the sports concession system, Ducati is classified as a Category A manufacturer, meaning it does not enjoy the same privileges as brands like Aprilia, KTM, or Honda in certain contexts. Specifically, Ducati is not allowed to field wildcard entries for its test riders in standard race weekends. This rule aims to balance competitiveness by limiting dominant manufacturers from gaining extra data. However, when it comes to rider substitutions due to injury, the rule doesn't apply, which is why Piero can step in. Elsewhere in the paddock, Aprilia has made a similar move, with Jorge Martin still recovering from a collarbone fracture sustained in the sprint race at Motegi. The factory Aprilia team has confirmed that its test rider, Lorenzo Savadori, will race at Phillip Island. This will mark Savadori's 11th MotoGP appearance of the season, as he continues to fill in during Martin's rehabilitation. The move ensures that Aprilia returns to full strength after fielding. Just one bike in Indonesia, MotoGP. Regulations state that teams are only required to field replacements if there's a gap of 9 or more days before the next race. Since the Japanese and Indonesian Grand Prix were back-to-back, Aprilia wasn't obligated to bring in another rider at the time. But with Phillip Island offering more preparation time, they seized the opportunity. As for KTM, uncertainty lingers. Maverick Vinales' shoulder injury from earlier in the season has effectively ruled him out for the remainder of the year, and the Tech 3 squad has yet to confirm who will take his place. Rumors suggest a young test rider or Moto2 talent could step up, but no official announcement has been made. The upcoming Australian Grand Prix now carries multiple storylines. On one side, fans will be watching Bagnaia's battle for podiums and Piero's return to the grid. On the other, they'll be tracking Marquez's recovery, wondering when the champion will return to reclaim his seat. The atmosphere around Ducati is one of cautious optimism, disappointed to lose Marquez temporarily, but confident in Piero's ability to deliver consistent results. For Marquez, this injury is yet another chapter in his turbulent journey. Since his devastating crash at Jerez in 2020, which sidelined him for months, the Spaniard's career has been defined as much by recovery as by racing. Every time he has fought back, proving doubters wrong, fate seems to test him again. Yet, despite everything, Marquez remains one of the most resilient figures in modern motorsport. His determination to recover quickly and return before the end of the season is already fueling discussions about whether he can make it back for the Portuguese or Valencian rounds. The Ducati camp, however, is taking no risks. The focus is on ensuring that Marquez heals fully before returning. The Italian factory has invested heavily in his long-term presence, and jeopardizing that for a few extra points would be a mistake they refuse to make. The official statement clarified that decisions about his return would be made based on medical evaluations and physical recovery, emphasizing caution over urgency. Meanwhile, Michele Pirro approaches Phillip Island with quiet confidence. Though he knows expectations are measured, his goal is clear: to deliver clean, consistent performance and gather valuable data for Ducati. Having spent years developing the Desmosedici, Pirro's understanding of the bike's behavior across different tracks is unmatched. For him, this race is less about glory and more about contribution, keeping the factory team competitive while their superstar heals. The story of Ducati's Australian GP lineup is more than a simple substitution. It's a reflection of MotoGP's brutal reality, where even the greatest riders are vulnerable, and teams must adapt instantly. It also showcases the deep bench of talent and experience that makes Ducati a powerhouse. While fans eagerly await Marquez's return, they'll witness a different kind of battle, one fought by the unsung hero who's been behind the scenes of every Ducati triumph. As the paddock descends upon Phillip Island, anticipation builds. The roar of the ocean, the sharp winds, and the ever-changing conditions make this track a true test of courage. For Pirro, it's a rare opportunity to step out from the shadows. For Ducati, It's about proving that their strength lies not just in their champions, but in their unity. And for Marc Marquez, it's another reminder of why MotoGP is both a dream and a battlefield. Unpredictable, unforgiving, and utterly captivating.